Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hello and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me. As you can see, I am back in my home kitchen. I'm back home from New Orleans for a couple of weeks. Thank you for all of you who reached out and checked on me during Hurricane Ida. I was fortunate to be able to get out of New Orleans on Friday before the storm hit. And so I have been home, and I've enjoyed being home. And I'm grateful that I have the ability to leave New Orleans. As you know, there are many people who were stuck there, not because they wanted to be there, but simply because they couldn't leave. They couldn't afford to leave. So I'm grateful that I was able to do so. And I have checked on some of my neighbors and people that I know that are still there, and they seem to have fared very well. So outside of loss of electricity and things like that, people have been doing well, and I'm so happy to hear that. So I have been here since that Friday before last, and just happy to be home and just relaxing. And so this week I have a delicious, simple dish to share with you. It is called the Emerald Kale Salad. Now, I don't know how many of you like Houston's or Hillstones. It's a restaurant that I actually really love because they have a great vegan burger. It's a beet burger, a beet bean burger that I always get when I go there. And recently I have been ordering this Emerald Kale Salad that they have. It's typically served with chicken. I get it without the chicken, but it is so delicious and it's so simple. And it's another one of those great dishes that you can put on your dinner table and someone can eat it by itself, or they can eat it with a beautiful piece of grilled tofu or whatever else you want to fix it with. It is delicious. One of the reasons why I love this dish is, as most dishes that I like and most recipes that I create, there are layers of flavor in it. They're sweet, they're salty, they're savory, there are all these different things going on. What I love about this emerald kale salad is the herbs that are in it. So you start off with this kind of bitter kale, and then you have fresh mint in it, and you have the herbaceous cilantro, and you have the kind of pungent scallions that are in there, and then we have crispy, hearty cabbage that's in there, and we have an amazing dressing that we make that has all these. We can just go over to this camera on the side. It has all these great ingredients. It has coconut aminos, rice vinegar, peanut oil, sesame oil. It has a little bit of honey or agave if you would like, a little black pepper and salt. We're going to use a little bit of Violife cheese in it to give it kind of that umami flavor. And we've got some crushed peanuts that I use, the honey roasted peanuts. That's my next, that's my little twist on this. But it's delicious. Of course, you don't have to use peanut oil. You don't have to use crushed peanuts. You can leave those out if you have an allergy to them. But if you don't, please use them because it brings a beautiful flavor and great texture because we've ground these peanuts up. So it really adds a nice different texture and flavor to this dish. Gotta use them. Something that I wanted to share with you now, I talk about quite often that when I use greens, when I use collards, when I use kale, I don't take them off the stem, I just cut them thinly, except for in this dish. One of the things that turns people off typically to kale and things like that is that hard stem, especially if it's in a salad. Because at least when you cook it, it tenderizes a little bit with the heat, whatever fat you're using to cook it with, or whatever liquid you're using, it will tenderize it a bit. This salad is a raw salad. So this salad in particular, I take the leaves off of the stem. The other thing I do when I make this salad, I typically massage some of the dressing into the greens. Why is that? Well, it tenderizes the greens, it makes them more edible. And when when you massage your greens, you actually make the nutrients more bioavailable, meaning that when you start to eat it, your body will get a hold of those nutrients faster and it will go through your system. So that is one of the tenets of macrobiotics. It's to massage your greens. They ease in the digestion of them, and they also get you your nutrients better. It works. It's less harsh on your system. Some people don't realize when you eat really fibrous things, sometimes it's taxing to your system. If you have a system that's in any way compromised, it may create an issue. So that's something to always remember. If you're making a salad that is really fibrous with things like kale and collards, anything raw like that, always make sure that you either blanch your greens or you massage them. It'll make your salad much better, I promise you. So as I'm talking about taking our greens off of the stem, our leaves off the stem, I have this little tool that I discovered that I absolutely love. I picked this up at Home Goods, but you can just as easily find it on Amazon.com, any online retailer like, food, like Williams Sonoma, anything like that, you can find this. What I love about it is it has so many different sizes that you can use it for something like greens, or you can use one of these smaller ones for something like herbs. Like if you get your thyme and it's still on the stem and fresh, or your rosemary and you want to take it off and you don't want to stand there and pick everything off, you can use this. Super easy to use. I'm going to show you how to use it right now. So the first thing we're going to do is going to bring my big bowl over here, and I've already washed my greens. And if you can see, I've got this, and I'm going to use the biggest hole, and watch this. Just like that. It's a great, great tool to have. It cleans them off, and if you want to use those stems for something else, you still can. And it typically breaks right at the point where the greens start to get tender. So, or the stalk gets tender. Super convenient. So we're getting about 4 to 5 cups of greens. That's our goal. This is the first stage of it. This green is a little funky. We'll get rid of that. All right. See how easy that was? See how quick that was? So now we have our greens that we're ready to prep for our salad. So one of the things I like to do with my greens, I'm sure you all have seen these, I like to roll them tightly, and then cut them thinly. So we're going to do that again. They're hardy, so they can definitely withstand it. And I'm just going to thinly cut these. So cutting them thinly, taking out the stem, and massaging them are the 3 things that we're going to do to make this salad delicious, edible, and bioavailable. So after I do that, I'm just going to cut this down the center. I'm going to use this bowl right here. Meantime, drop in that side bowl, and then we're going to keep going. What's great about that destemmer is you see how these are still pretty intact? They're not like small pieces, so you can still manipulate them very easily. Typically, if I try to destem them with my hand, they don't come out like this. I have a whole bunch of small pieces. So that's another argument for using that destemming tool. I think I got it for about $4 or $5. And it's very convenient, inexpensive. You will get your money's worth. Okay. Cutting that down the center again. I prefer to use the curly kale with this. Of course, you can use a lacinato kale if you want to. I prefer to use the curly because the curly kind of is, I feel like it's more substantive. And I love to have dishes that just really hearty, filling, and it also makes for a great display as well. One of the things I always talk about with you all is that when you're preparing your dishes, when you're cutting things, you need to be thinking about the finished product. And so that's one of the reasons why I like to use the curly kale as well, because I'm thinking about the finished product. And we're almost done here. I'll grab these and just roll them in here, some of these smaller pieces. All right. So we've got our kale done. This is more than 4 to 5 cups. This is probably about 7 or 8 cups. That's what our kale looks like. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to cut up our cabbage. I'm just going to cut off a piece of chop. We don't have to, we're not going to use much. We're going to use about a cup of cabbage. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to thinly slice this. If you had a mandolin, that would be a great use for your mandolin. We want to get this thin as well so that when we massage that dressing through and it's eaten, it's not like, you know, just like a big clump of cabbage. We want the texture, we want the flavor, but we want it to be slight. Okay. And that's about a cup there. So I'm gonna just push that aside on my board. The next thing we're going to do, clean this off a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut scallions. I would say about a 1/4 cup. I'm just gonna cut them at an angle, as thinly as I can. This is all gonna get tossed up in that salad. Push that aside. We're gonna do our mint now. Basil is also something that you could put in the salad if you wanted to. Any herbs, really. Any kind of like fresh, vibrant herbs. I wouldn't use anything like rosemary, but basil, Thai basil would be great in here, or traditional basil. Of course, you know, mint is great. Really, really great addition to the salad. And, you know, use as little or as much as you like. I'm somebody who tends to like all these different flavors. I know someone who also uses parsley in their salad. It's funny, parsley is one of those things that growing up, I hated parsley. I mean, I'm part of the generation that grew up with parsley was like, you know, decorative. They put like a bunch of parsley on the tape. That was like how they dressed the plate. And I just never liked parsley. But I have, as I've gotten older, I have learned to really appreciate and like parsley. I love Mediterranean dishes, and quite often they have parsley in there. So I just thinly sliced this. It doesn't need to be minced necessarily. I'm gonna do this a little bit more. And these leaves are pretty tender, so if there is some of the stalk in there, it's not gonna create a problem. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I encourage people to try something. If it's something that you hated as a child, and when you were 6 and now you're 40 years old, try it again. Our tastes change. Our tastes change. Our tastes change as we get older. Okay, so that should be plenty. So we've got our cabbage, we've got our scallions, we've got our mint, we've got our kale over in this bowl. Now we're going to work on our dressing. Now, it's really interesting. People, move this out of the way. There is this whole argument behind the use of honey. Some people say to be a true vegan, you can't use honey because bees are part of the production of honey. And if you feel that way, that's fine. So for this menu, you would not use honey, you would use something like agave. But if you don't have an issue with honey, by all means, use honey. So for our vinaigrette, we are going to use a 1/4 cup of peanut oil. And I said earlier, you don't have to use peanut oil. You can use a neutral tasting oil. That's perfectly fine. And we're not going to use all of this vinaigrette either, so it may seem like we're using a lot of oil in this. I'm actually using less than I usually do. It's going to be about a 1/4 cup of oil going to go in here. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil. Love toasted sesame oil. About 2 tablespoons there. 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. I'm using Moroccan organic rice vinegar. Okay. We're going to use coconut aminos. Now, you can use coconut aminos, you can use soy sauce, you can use tamari. I'm using coconut aminos, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon of that. About a tablespoon of that. We're going to use the honey right now. 1.5 tablespoons of that is going to go in here. Okay. And I'm going to use my whisk and mix this together. Now this, we're going to massage a little bit of this into the greens. We don't want it to be weighed down with dressing. I think that's one of the mistakes people make quite often when they do dressings, and it kind of defeats the purpose of eating a salad. Your salad should not be laden down with sauce and fat and dressing. We really want it just to accentuate the greens that we're using. So let me grab a spoon, taste this, see how this is. It's actually pretty good. All righty. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to assembling our salad. Now I try to share recipes with you all that are pretty easy to make, because when you come home in the evening, you don't want to have to labor over a stove. So that's why a lot of times I don't even have things that you have to use a stove for. Um, this is something that you can make in a matter of minutes. And I want to encourage you all, because one of the things that I found is my downfall. Yes, I will admit that. One of my downfalls is convenience. And so if I don't have things like this that I can make, that I can eat quickly in the refrigerator, because basically you can have all these greens ready to go and then just toss it. And this can be tossed up to 30 minutes ahead of time, and it's fine because it's just going to break down the kale a little bit more. But getting back to what I was saying, one of the reasons why this is important is because when you have these things planned out and they're easy to make, the less likely you are to grab junk, right? What are some of the neutral oils to use instead of peanut oil? You can use avocado oil is a great one. If you use an olive oil, you just have to make sure that it says neutral tasting, light taste, because olive oil can take it to a next level. But any of your nut oils really are great. And if you can't do nut, avocado oil is what I would suggest. That's a great oil to use. So now we are going to put our salad together. That's about, let's say that's about four cups here. This is something that you can eat as a main salad with nothing else, or you can serve it as a side salad. So now I'm going to take my mint. I'm going to take my scallions. I'm going to take my cabbage, my cup of cabbage, that's going in there. I'm going to put some of my micro cilantro that I love, that I get at Sprouts. You can also just use traditional cilantro, but I really like this one. It just has a slightly different flavor to it. So that's going in there. Mix that all up. And now I'm just going to drizzle. Take this ring off, because I'm gonna get in there and massage it. We're gonna take this dressing and just drizzle it over. Go. And now we're just gonna massage it. And what you will notice is you will start to feel your greens break down, because that fat and that oil and the vinegar, that citrus, not citrus, the acid from the vinegar is going to break it down, and it's just going to get soft. And that's what you want. You want that softness. This is looking and smelling so great. Just rinse my hand off. We're going to add some fresh ground pepper to this. You shake. You don't have to use this. Some people like to even add a little bit of cayenne for a little heat, if you would like. I'm going to do a pinch, just a pinch of salt. We're going to use some vegan BioLife Parm. I love this stuff. And I feel like the older it gets, the more it's like real parm. Okay, toss that up a little bit. Now I'm going to use some of my ground peanuts. That's going to go in this. Toss it a little more. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to plate our emerald kale salad. Move this out the way. So I've got this lovely bowl, my favorite plating bowl. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab a handful and put it right in the center of this bowl. Yum, yum, yum. Just gonna drizzle a little dressing over it, not much. But you all can see how much I have left. Got quite a bit of the dressing left. I didn't use a lot of it on the salad to begin with. Drizzle that. I'm going to take just a little bit more of this ground peanut to put it over the top. A little more of this. Of course, it's optional. You don't have to use it, but it adds great flavor to it. And it's so pretty. Makes a pretty dish as well. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Vegan emerald kale salad. Look at that. So simple, so delicious. If you wanted to add some grilled veggies on the side, that would be a beautiful dinner, a beautiful meal. You could add some marinated and grilled tofu. Even the maple jerk cauliflower wings we made last week would be great with this. If you're somebody who is still transitioning from a meat diet, meat protein diet, grilled chicken, grilled fish would be great. This is great even by itself with nothing else added to it. Emerald kale salad, we have massaged kale, we have green cabbage, scallions, cilantro, fresh mint. We have, thank you, Yvette, we have a dressing that we made from rice vinegar, toasted sesame oil, peanut oil, coconut aminos, honey. Simple, delicious, great for you. This is nutrient dense. This is giving you calcium. This is giving you chlorophyll. This is giving your body all the things that it needs to fortify itself. We've talked a couple weeks ago about some of the things that we're fighting, these infections, these viruses. These are the types of things that you need to be eating regular to fortify your body and give it an ability to fight off things from even taking hold or strengthening your body once they have. So this is a delicious dish. Let me grab a fork and taste it, even though I am pretty sure it's darn good. Let's see. You'll be able to see from my face. Nice and tender greens. Very, very good. The mint is surprising in here. Mint is not something that you would expect. And the peanuts and the parm. Delicious. Emerald kale salad, and I would say under 15 minutes. This is something that you can make up to 30 minutes in advance, saying that you can toss it in the dressing and everything for up to 30 minutes in advance, and it will maintain its integrity and it will still be just as delicious on your dinner table or on your lunch in your lunchbox. Delicious food that just so happens to be good for you. Thank you for all of you that have been ordering my products. I sold out. I sold out. This is the second time this has happened. That's me being greedy and food going down funny. Thank you for all that have supported my business and bought my products. This is hilarious. Hold on. I have sold out of quite a few things. Thank you for supporting me. We will see you all next week. My goal is to make pad thai for you all. That's what our goal is. Hopefully I'll be able to source all of my ingredients and I'll show you how to make it. Very simple, very delicious. You will not order carry out, take out, delivery pad thai again once you learn how to make it. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to learn how to make these things because then you can control what you're putting in your body and you know what you're putting in your body. When you order out, you're kind of taking people's word for it. You don't really know what's in it, but when you make it, you have the control. Thank you for joining me this week on Reclaiming Your Health. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.